there, this is Erica Merrill, and I'm the founder of Perfect Legal Video, and I am very excited about today's topic. We are going to be talking about COVID-19 crimes with attorney Brian Jones out of Ohio. He has a criminal defense firm there. He's been in business for a very long time, and he is going to be telling us about some crimes that could be committed inadvertently. Welcome to the show, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Eric. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you. So I would love to talk about ways that you can be charged with an OVI that you wouldn't normally think about. Usually people traditionally will have 2 beers and then they get pulled over on the way home. But is driving the only way that you can get pulled over by a cop?
Under Ohio law, any motorized vehicle can qualify for the operating a motor vehicle aspect of an OVI charge. So I'm sure we've all seen the funny videos on YouTube and Facebook with the individual riding a tractor or driving a forklift or a scissor lift with the lift all the way up, and he's intoxicated and he's getting pulled over. Well, obviously a very dangerous situation. Once we identify that nobody's been hurt, we can sit back and laugh at it, and some people laugh at that poor man's expense. But yes, in Ohio, any of those vehicles would also qualify for the vehicle in an OVI, operating a motor vehicle while impaired or intoxicated charge. So you could get an OVI for mowing your lawn after having a few beers, if it was a riding mower.
Oh my gosh, that is shocking and something to think about, because I think sometimes people actually drink while driving their mower.
Yeah, and who enjoys doing yard work, not enjoy having a couple of beers and then going out and doing their yard work and then coming in and cooling off for a bit with another beer and just really relaxing through that entire process. Now, one thing should be said is that on the private property, that wouldn't be an offense. However, if you put others in danger, that could be an offense. Or that strip of land in between the sidewalk and the road, in many areas, is publicly owned. So that would be a public area, and you could be charged while mowing that section.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that is really good to know, because I bet you most people don't think about the grass that is between the sidewalk and the road. I mean, they're just trying to mow what's in front of their house. But they are there out in the public. There are cars, there are people walking on the sidewalk, and I suppose that people could get hurt.
Absolutely. And obviously, if you've got somebody that's so intoxicated that they're, not able to control that mower, a lawn mower in and of itself is a dangerous piece of machinery. And we don't want people out, mowing in a state of, drunken stupor. But we need to be aware of this and aware that that could result in a criminal charge.
That is really great. Thank you so much for letting us know about that, because, people are home more now. And I know that this is an evergreen blog topic, but, at the time of this taping, we are currently in lockdown from the COVID-19 pandemic. So people are, really catching up on yard work, and lots of things are going on, which we are going to be talking about in a little bit in this interview. So while we're talking about this, let's talk about drugs. And it's just like a prescription drug, like a Xanax or any other prescription you might be on that might make you drowsy. What would happen? I mean, can you get pulled over from that?
You can absolutely be pulled over for having taken your prescription medication. We've talked about this in prior interviews, Erica, that just because you took your medication according to the terms of your prescription does not create an absolute defense to an OVI charge. So if you've been regularly taking your medication, and then again, you're out operating your riding lawnmower or riding maybe a go-kart or some other toy on the public roads, you would absolutely expose yourself to being charged with an OVI.
Wow, that's really interesting. can you be pulled over for riding a horse intoxicated? I'm just curious. I mean, there are people that drive wagons. The Amish, they don't even have motorized vehicles, but I don't know, people could get hurt. Have you ever seen that?
Yes, Erica. Actually, I have represented an Amish person who was accused of OVI for driving their buggy.
Oh my gosh, really? I almost asked you that as a joke because I ride horses too, and plenty of the girls that are out there, they'll have drinks before or after. I'm not saying me, but I knew a girl in one barn that she had a really what they call a bomb-proof horse, meaning he doesn't spook very easily. So she would literally take him out on the trails and have a cooler in a pouch, and she would have drinks while she was riding out in the pub. It was on a trail, but still public land.
Yeah, and as far as riding a horse is concerned, if you're on public land or on the roads, you would absolutely expose yourself to criminal liability. Obviously, on private property, the landowner, or if you owned the land yourself, the situation would be different. But out in public, you would definitely expose yourself to criminal liability.
Wow, and that's interesting too, because I actually have insurance for my horse, liability insurance, just in case if something happens and he spooks and I fall off and he runs into the road and a car hits him, I could be liable for any damages to that car or any medical bills. So, it's kind of interesting how that works.
Absolutely.
So now that people are drinking a lot at home, is it actually illegal to be intoxicated at your house?
So if you're causing a disturbance, you can be charged with disorderly conduct. Now, that disorderly conduct depends on the degree of your disturbance in the neighborhood or the number of times that a neighbor has asked you to stop whatever the disturbing behavior is. Is it illegal to be intoxicated while sitting on your couch and you're not playing loud music? No, absolutely not. But if you're disturbing your neighbors, you're disturbing people outside, absolutely. And in these sorts of situations, what we're looking at as far as has an officer lawfully confronted you about that is, are you visible from the outside? Can the officer see in your windows? Are you on your back patio or deck and making a disturbance to your neighborhood? So in those situations, criminal liability could fall on you. And the question becomes, did the officer get into that position where they witnessed the alleged illegal conduct in a valid way that doesn't violate your constitutional rights?
Wow, that's really interesting. I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to mind for me is people getting into some sort of an argument out there. Drunk and disorderly is what I think of when I think of disorderly. And nowadays there's a lot more, as we mentioned last week, a lot more problems with domestic violence. But I suppose you could be just having a loud party and disrupting your neighbors too.
That's absolutely right, Erica. The statute criminalizes any sort of disturbance that causes a disturbance to those around you. It's very broad. And in fact, I've often described the disorderly conduct statute as criminalizing being an asshole. And I know that's crude language, but that's kind of the reality, is that anything that you would consider somebody to just being a jerk in public can result in charges. Now, would an officer cite you for that? That depends on the officer. Would they give you a warning? Or would they just say, look, buddy, I'm going to issue you a ticket and let you deal with the court? That's going to be on a case-by-case basis. And it's also going to depend on how vocal the person who's making the complaint about you is.
Wow, well, be nice to your neighbors, I guess, is number one. And number two, don't piss off the officer when they come over, because you hear about that all the time too. It can be quite ugly if you are just being disorderly and out of control and you don't realize that, not only are you upsetting your neighbors, but you're upsetting the officer. You could find yourself getting arrested, I'd imagine.
Yeah. For the persistent disorderly conduct, the misdemeanor 4 version of it, persisting in the conduct after being told to stop, it is an arrestable offense.
Oh, that is really good to know. Do you get a lot of that?
We get them occasionally. They're frequently tied to college parties. Here in Delaware, Ohio is Ohio Wesleyan University. So we have a large college-age population. We also are a very suburban county in the southern part of Delaware County. And so we occasionally get the high school teenage parties that have disturbed a neighbor, and then the police come. And now you're looking at not only the disorderly conduct charges, but also a misdemeanor of the first degree in underage consumption.
Wow. That is a lot to swallow. I mean, there's a ton of charges there that you'd have to really help somebody out with.